Hello and welcome to the Walk Off, everybody. I'm Scott Belford. Very excited for today's episode where we are going to dive in to the top prospects, not just in the Blue Jays system, but around the league in general. So excited to have back on the show this guest. Now, before we do the full introductions and everything like that, I need everyone watching to give the thumbs up. It goes a long way. And subscribe if you are not. Also, just a quick reminder too, Baseball Town runs September 4th at Left Field Brewing in Liberty Village. We have from The Score, Jonah Birnbaum. We've got from Sportsnet, Chris Black, who is just a Twitter threads, a thread king on X right now. When you want a breakdown of everything, Chris Black is the man to go to. And then we do have another guest still to be determined, waiting on some confirmations, but it's going to be a very good show. Tickets for that are going to be in the description. If you use the code baseball, you're saving $5. You get in for $20. So go ahead and get on that. So thrilled to have returning to the show. And this gentleman is just finished releasing his article ranking the top 100 prospects in Major League Baseball. Nae Nae Takes on X. Matt, welcome back to the Walk-Off, buddy. Thanks so much for taking the time.
Well, thank you for having me back on. It's always good to just talk ball for half an hour or so.
Oh, for
Glad
sure.
to be back.
It's our favorite things to do. We just love nerding out about it. And before we even dive in here, I just want to say I know how much work goes into these top 100 rankings of yours, and I know that you spent countless hours on it. I read it yesterday, and that's a little bit of a lie. I read most of it. It's a lengthy endeavor,
Yeah,
very in depth, very impressed. So well done, my man.
yeah. It's definitely a long one. I don't really expect that anyone read the whole thing. I think it probably takes you about 45 minutes. I guess the idea is if might as well put my thought process in there for people that are interested, and then they can kind of go into whatever prospects interest them and read a bit more rather than just leave so much out so people will read the full thing.
So where can people find your article? Let's start with that before we dive in.
Yeah, it's on my Medium account, which is the same as my Twitter handle, Nae Nae Takes, and you can also find it as my pinned tweet on uh like X. So
So Matt, tell us a little bit about your prospect list. You have a rhyme and a reason to it, and this is what impresses me: is that every ranking you have a reason for it. What is it that you kind of value the most in these rankings? If you want to kind of take us through both your pitching and position player skill sets that kind of move them up or down your list.
yeah, it's a good question. I feel like in recent years I've started valuing like maybe like contact a little bit more than I used to because I think I used to kind of look a little bit more at like the tools and like power and like athleticism, but you got to make some contact in order to be a big leaguer. So I've started to value that a little bit more. Um, I would say for like hitters, the main things I look at just for like those like top of the list type of guys is like what is the upside here? Uh, like, can they play like a premium position? Can they play it well? Like those like up the middle positions, shortstop, second base, center field, catcher. If I think you can hit and you're going to play one of those positions, there's a good chance you're going to be a big leaguer, and there's a good chance you're going to be a good big leaguer. Um, I would say power is definitely something that's important. You look around the league, there's just not very many great position players that don't hit for power. Um, so I would say that. Um, I think like age relative to the level that you're at, like this is like a big thing with like Arjun Ramala this season. Like he's just 19 and he's in high A. Like he would be getting drafted right now. So there's a lot of position players like that. Like Jesus Mate on the Brewers is just 18 years old in high A and he's like playing well. So that's like a big thing. Like I had him number three because you could say like this guy probably like his peers are two, three levels below him, and he's
Hmm.
just that advanced, and he's also like very like projectable, kind of good at everything. So I would say like really looking for those like five tool players, and also I would say power is like a big thing, power and like making good swing decisions. Um, yeah, I guess for pitchers. Um, I think the main thing I like, this is like a very like granular way to look at it, but I think like strikeout to walk rate in the minors is like a massive thing. If you just
Yeah.
look at strikeout to walk rate and look at the leaderboard and then look at like maybe like some of the younger players, like those are usually the best prospects. Um,
It's
like it's kind of
interesting
funny
how
how much,
strikeout to walk rate really does sum up the control of a pitcher, right? Like, which is so important.
yeah, like we have all these like fancy stats, and at the end of the day, it often comes down to just how many guys can you strike out, how many guys do you walk?
And can you hit your
Because
spots? Yeah, like
yeah,
it's funny how that rolls.
yeah. So I would say like guys with like big stuff definitely are appealing, but can they get it in the zone? I'd say the closer you get to the big leagues, the more emphasis I put on are you throwing pitches in the zone?
Hmm.
You can like uh squint a little bit more for like a teenager. Like it's more likely to come along. But if you're in AAA and you still are walking a lot of guys, it's probably more of a like a reliever look. So yeah.
Okay. I know that we're going to talk Blue Jays prospects shortly here. And
Hmm.
before we even dive in at all on some of the other stuff, we're going to touch on a couple of the Canadians that you have on your list. But let's start with the fact that the Blue Jays system is on the rise, even though that at the deadline here, they moved some of their I wouldn't say top prospects, but guys who definitely had the pedigree to be a top 100 prospect. Cal Steven kind of stands out there, but even Jerron Watts Brown had some hype behind him. Are you impressed with the way the Blue Jays have kind of done a little bit of a 180 on the way that they go about their scouting and development? I know that this was something that within this organization was a problem for quite some time. I know that a lot of the negativity towards Ross Atkins and Mark Shapiro in a lot of cases was their development. Since they kind of did a shift in personnel and brought in Mark Tremuta, we've noticed that their drafting and their development has seemed to improve. Have you noticed the same thing?
Yeah, I think even in the last years of when Shane Farrell was here, I mean, I've been pretty critical of like his 2020 to 2022 drafts. But even the more recent years, I think I don't know if like he had maybe less power or what the internal dynamics are or what the shift was, but I would say that they've kind of been shifting away a little bit with pitching in particular. I think they've gotten a lot better. They probably went from one of the 5 to 10 worst pitching development organizations to definitely, I would say, above average in the last few years. You can see it at the major league level just with like the reliever pickups. Like we spent how many years just not, we were never able to develop any relievers. And we have Braden Fisher comes out of nowhere. Um, Brendan Little really turned things around from like when he was with the Cubs.
Mason
So you can even look
Fluharty
at,
has been
yeah,
surprising.
yeah. So I would say like that. As far as like drafting goes, the most recent draft, I believe Mark Tremita was on the staff, but I don't know if he was actually like I think he got promoted after the draft. So I'm not sure exactly like how much was it him or not.
Yeah, of course.
But you could see that they targeted stuff a little bit more. That'd be maybe the thing I was most critical of. They were just drafting a lot of like pitchability guys like pretty early on which it's more of like more of a starter look, but like if they can't get MLB hitters out, it doesn't really matter if they throw strikes because you gotta be able to miss bats.
So, for everyone listening who doesn't know what pitchability is, maybe you can just kind of give a rough
Yeah,
idea of what you mean when they're looking for pitchability.
like guys that can locate their stuff, that know how to like sequence their pitches, performance, especially in college. Um, I would say like that kind of thing. And these are all things that matter, of course. It's just you need it doesn't really matter that you can do all of that if you can't miss bats because you don't see very many. There's very few good starters in the league that don't strike guys out.
It's kind of the idea of floor over ceiling, right? When you're talking
Yeah,
pitchability. Yeah.
yeah. And then the most recent year, I can use like Trey Savage or Johnny King as examples. Like these are more like high octane arms, and it's more like the development steps are more so get them more in the zone so they're kind of working backwards. But before it was like these guys are in the zone, but we need to make them get like throw harder, throw a better breaking ball. But you can also say Cal Steven is would be more of a pitchability guy, and he's had a lot of success this year, and his stuff is pretty impressive too. So I think it's just a blend of approaches and um, picking the best player available and having the right staff in place to help these guys. Not just picking picking guys because they're high on other boards, but picking guys that you know how to help.
Well, let's talk that a little bit, Matt, then. Like, because yeah, you really touched on the draft, but the development has improved over the last 12 to 24 months, and we're starting to see that within the system.
Mhm.
When you talk about development, what are you looking for these players to do? Like you touched on the idea of maybe the Blue Jays have shifted to maybe more higher ceiling guys over the floor, but maybe you need to develop stuff like getting the ball in the zone a little bit more. Philosophically, what have you seen from the Blue Jays on this?
I think maybe the best way to like quantify if you're good at pitching development is can you get guys to throw harder? Because velocity is everything. It may not like you may see a guy throw 100. It doesn't matter if he throws four straight balls and they walk to first base, but like this is what MLB teams covet. Um, as much as fans are like, I don't care how hard you throw. But the MLB teams do care how hard you throw. I think Kenji Rojas, who was traded this deadline, is a good example of a guy who just kept throwing harder every year. And a lot of the time, that is like good like mechanics development. We don't think of it as much as a development thing, but also like adding good muscle and um, like got like targeting guys that have a good like pitching frame to like add more strength that have good arm speed, that kind of thing.
You were high on
Um,
Rojas, weren't you?
yeah, for a while. And yeah, he's really was someone who was, I think he was throwing maybe 91, 92, like 2 or 3 years ago. And every season he's just kind of added a couple ticks. And now he's like sitting like 95, 96.
It's interesting because Cal Steven is the guy that everyone talked about. He was like the big prospect that went out. But really, Kendrys Rojas was higher ranked than him and may have had more pitchability. Speaking of pitchability, uh, do you think that that's one that might? And listen, I love Varland, and I think that it was
Yeah,
a
for
great
sure.
pickup. Um, and we will dive into what we don't even need to wait. We can talk Varland a little bit right now. But do you want to talk a little bit about Rojas and why the Twins were obviously high on him and he needed to be a part of that trade to get Varland?
Yeah, I think a lot of people kind of pointed at Rodon as being the main piece there. And I don't think he was not like a throw-in by any means,
No.
but I think it was Rojas probably carried a little bit more value actually with how much pitching was going for at the deadline. Pitching always goes for a lot at the deadline, and he's in AAA. It's like a starter profile for sure. I wouldn't say that he's like I don't think he's someone who's gonna become an ace or anything like that. I think he can. I think he could definitely have a role for the
You
Twins
know
in the
what, though,
future.
Matt? Solid number threes are so valuable.
Yeah, for sure. Um, I think like I really like his arsenal. He has like a good array of good pitches, and he's like, pretty good at commanding them. One thing you could say is like he hasn't been totally healthy, like not like any major arm injuries, but just kind of hasn't logged a ton of innings. So that might be something like why the Jays felt like they're okay to trade him. Like this is probably a guy that needs another year before he can handle like a full starter workload. But I really like Farland. I'm fine with the trade. You can say like trading starting pitching depth for a reliever isn't like the best process maybe, but if Farland can be like a back end of the bullpen guy for 5 years, like you do that every day. So
You see that in him, don't you? Like he's got pretty nasty stuff.
yeah, I mean he throws really hard. His curveball is really better than his fastball if you just look at like the numbers. Like it kind of like curves guys up. And I
That
think the
knuckle
Jays
curve,
have
man.
some
I just
idea.
like it's one of my favorite pitches right now. And I think it's just because Varland is so good with it. And then you see Brandon Little from the left-hand side, and you're like, what a ridiculous out pitch. Like, how can you even, especially with the tunneling that is going into development right now, and how it just like some of these pitches just how do you even know what's going to come out of his hand? Like it is such a good off-speed pitch.
Yeah, it's like really a knee buckler, and Little definitely tunnels. Little tunnels really well. Like you, all of his stuff looks the same, and then it just dives out of the zone. This is why
Yeah.
he gets so much swing and miss. Yeah.
Okay, let's dive into the Canadians that you have on your top
Ooh.
100 list. Again, everybody, Nae Nae Takes. Check out his top 100. He put a pile of time into this. This is the best prospects in all of Major League Baseball. These are guys that are going to be stars, hopefully, within the next few years. Let's start with the top ranked Canadian that you have on this list. New York Mets prospect just got called up to AAA, Jonah Tong, right? Starting pitcher. What do you like from this guy, and why is he in your top 20?
So he's another guy who's throwing a bit harder this season. His fastball has like very good. We talk a lot about velocity, but like very good characteristics that make it difficult to hit. It doesn't really have a lot of drop. It almost looks like it's like rising at hitters. And these types of fastballs tend to be ones that get a lot of swing and miss. Um, his changeup has been like lights out this season. That's like a pitch that's separate. It's like separating off his fastball. It looks like a fastball out of the hand, and then a lot of dip on it. He can spin a breaking ball. Like it's just like a very good pitch mix. You can like look up his stats this season at Double A. They're like phenomenal. Like arguably the best in baseball as far as like a top pitching prospect goes. Like completely dominant, striking a ton of guys out. He's been in the zone more this year. I think that's probably the main thing going forward is AAA can be very difficult to throw
Mm-hmm.
strikes at because the automatic ABS is like kind of a problem there. Not very many pitchers perform well at AAA these days.
It's an offense
So
orientated league for sure.
yeah, I kind of don't even really care to look at the ERAs in that league. It's more like I would just look at strikeout to walk rate.
Yeah.
The ball flies out of those parks, and yeah, so that'll be a good test for him. But he's definitely one of like the top pitching prospects. He's been a guy that was on the radar, definitely, but he's taken a big leap this year. He's from the area too.
Hmm.
Yeah.
When it comes to Jonah Tong, it feels like he may have the highest ceiling for a Canadian pitcher that we've ever seen. Am I jumping off the deep end there? Because he has,
I'm trying to remember who the Canadian
yeah,
pitchers.
right. But like, do you think that he has the skill set and the tools to be an ace?
I think we could get there. I think Joe Ryan is maybe not a perfect comparison to him, but kind of does say a similar kind of like unique fastball that misses a lot of bats. Kind of a guy who's thrown harder. I think that's like the kind of like production you could like dream on. So if you think Joe Ryan is an ace, I feel like he's been an ace this year.
Yeah,
Maybe not like a bona fide like over the course of his career, but definitely like I'd say a number two for sure. There's really just not that many aces
I
though. Like
agree.
if
I
you look
agree.
around the league,
Yeah.
like we throw around that term, there's probably like 10 of them. So not every team gets one.
Well, let's talk the other side of the diamond then. On the offense side, another Canadian you have on your list is Owen Casey with the Cubs, who really cool was actually just called up last night and is going to be in that Cubs lineup against the Blue Jays this afternoon. What do you like about Owen Casey and what is his ceiling?
I like he's made more contact and better like swing decisions this year. He's always had big power. He's like a pretty big framed guy. Um, I think it's really just like the bat is mostly the appeal with him. We'll see how he does. There's like a little bit of like three true outcomes type of thing where it's probably gonna strike out a lot, walk a lot, hit a lot of home runs. Those players can kind of walk the line of being like those. Sometimes those players end up being like those like quad A guys that just crush
Yeah.
triple A and don't really hit. But and then sometimes they end up being. I
Stars.
mean, look at what Kyle Schwarber's done like
Yeah.
his whole career. So um, it'll be interesting to see how much playing time he gets because the
He is
Cubs
kind
are
of
kind of.
blocked in that Cubs outfield, eh?
I'm kind of surprised they didn't trade him this deadline for,
Yeah.
but I guess the right player didn't come along. So
Okay. Now this is what everyone's waiting for is a breakdown of the Toronto Blue Jays prospects that you have in this list. Now we do have a couple in the top 50, three actually. You got four in the top 100, and it has been a while since there's been four Blue Jays in the top 100.
yeah, probably have to go back to 2021 Moreno era, maybe.
Yeah, Nate Pearson, kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
So your highest ranked Toronto Blue Jay is Trey Savage, who was just recently called up to Buffalo. This kid has been absolutely dominant all year long in the minor leagues. And very rarely do you see a prospect, especially someone who's 21, right? Like I think he just turned 22, but um someone of his age to move up four levels in 1 year, you don't see every day. You've got him ranked at number
Mhm.
45 on this list. What do you see in Trey Savage, and what can Blue Jays fans expect out of him? And even more so, touch on, I know there's huge hype around him maybe being in this Blue Jays bullpen. And I'm just curious on your honest thoughts about if maybe the gas, or I should say the brakes, be pumped a little bit until we see how he does in AAA.
Yeah, I can address that last part first. I would put some cold water on that. I don't, I don't think he's going to pitch out of the bullpen. Like, I think people need to get injured, and we don't want that. So,
Hmm.
I think they'd rather call him up than like maybe some of the other options. But like theoretically, Nick Sandlin is also coming back, maybe, and they definitely would bring him back just because he's pitched before in the
Yeah.
major leagues. I don't think this is what they want
It's
to
a
do.
lot to ask of a kid, right? To
Y-
make his major league debut in the middle of a playoff race in
Yeah,
September, right?
yeah. I mean, we saw it with like the Tigers did it with Jackson Jobe last
Hmm.
year, but it's the Jays have a good bullpen that's pitching, I would say, pretty well overall, and it's pretty deep right now. I don't think they really need him. I don't think they would want to use. I think they'd rather him kind of just pitch a triple A and take his turn in the rotation.
And
Um,
that's no
I
slight
guess
on him either, right? Because he really has
yeah,
developed incredibly well this year.
it's his first full, it's his first season. He didn't pitch last year, so like the idea that like I think Manoa under the same trajectory pitched. He debuted around midseason next year is what Yasavage,
Hmm.
if he was following that, would do. And Manoa moved pretty quick. So
Yes, he did.
I would just feel like give him a bit of time. He's taken a few starts at each level to kind of like get accustomed. He has a very like chase heavy arsenal, I would say. Like he gets a lot of swing miss out of the zone. And as you move up the ladder, the hitters have a better eye. So he's had to like kind of adjust at each level to like pitch more in the zone. I think just putting him in the majors, you might see a few more walks than you'd like right now. Even though generally speaking, he's been pretty good at not walking guys this year. As far as like his arsenal goes, it's like 94, 95. He has like a very over the top mechanics. Like if you never watched him pitch, you'll go like that seems weird when you watch him because it's very over the top. His
Do you have
fastball gets
any
like a ton of
comparables that might work
yeah.
to put in people's mind? Because he does have a very unique delivery.
He's tough. Like I've listened to like other people talk about him, and he's like very unique pitcher. Like he doesn't actually have any pitches that move like to the glove side. Like everything is just right at you. Um, I don't know, like Nick Pivetta. Nick Pivetta is like as a much over the top as he is, but even
Yeah.
then, it's not a great comparison. Um, there's a Canadian who's pitching pretty well.
Yeah, that's true. That's
Actually.
true.
Um, But yeah, Savage just struck out a ton of guys this year. Really nasty, like split finger. He has a really like kind of like that kind of same curveball thing where it's like a real put away pitch for him. I know we see like Bassett throws a lot of curveballs for like called strikes, and like that's like something a lot of guys do. Like his is more very much like it's like a wipeout, like hard curveball, not like one of those slow loopy ones that like Charlie Morton throws, or not that Charlie Morton doesn't have an incredible curveball, but it's
Yeah.
like this. It's not the same type, basically, is what I'm saying. Yeah. Yeah, he's number one. I just think he's close. He's been incredible. You can't really have asked more from him this season, I would say.
Especially when you look at kind of the trajectory of some of their other top ranked pitching prospects over the years, and they're just have seemed to hit a wall when it comes to bad tacos. We'll knock on wood. Never want to talk injuries, but
Yeah.
he's managed to stay pretty healthy. Let's move on to a couple of the position players you've got. On the Blue Jays that are in this top 100. And it's really interesting. I kind of like it because they are so young, both shortstops. I mean, JoJo might project more as a third baseman or whatnot. I'll let you talk on that. Let's start with Arjun Namala. You have him in at number 48. This is a 19-year-old kid with the Vancouver Canadians. Started with Dunedin in the beginning of the year and has had the one promotion. He really was on fire to start with and has kind of hit a bit of a wall to be expected for someone of his age.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to forget that he's 19. And I think he hasn't been helped so much by like the situation in the Northwest League where it's just six teams. So it's and they play each other for a week straight. So like the teams have a plan against him basically, and you
Hmm.
can take that as a positive if you want, or you can take that as a negative, like he's kind of been figured out a little bit. But again, he's very young, like he can make adjustments. I think he's seeing a lot of like breaking balls on the outer half, which is, I mean, it's like a pitch we see Teoscar Hernandez swing through a ton in the major leagues. Like it's not like this pitch goes away by any means. So he's going to kind of have to work on that kind of like hole, I guess. But again, he was really good at the start of the year. The shortstop defense is generally rated as pretty positive, which is good. He's hit like 13 home runs or so,
Hmm.
which that maybe doesn't sound like a lot because we view it on like the scale of like in the major leagues, that's not very much, but for like prospects, that's quite a lot actually.
Especially for a
Most,
19-year-old.
yeah, like most game power is something that usually tends to come along near the end. You usually see someone hitting the ball hard first and then hitting it hard over the fence. So he's kind of like advanced in that area. Um, he's made a lot more contact this year, which is interesting because he hasn't actually been better. But I think I think it's like kind of swing decisions oriented and picking the right pitches to do damage on. But yeah, I'm still excited about him, even if he's like kind of going through a slump right now.
I mean, on the offensive side of the game, he projects really well, and I know that, like you just touched on, he has slumped a little bit over the last couple months in High A Vancouver. Talk, and I know you did touch on it that he's looked pretty good defensively. Do you think he sticks at shortstop? Are is the organization excited about what they're seeing out of the glove side of his game?
I think so. I mean saying someone sticks to shortstop is always difficult because
Yeah,
like
of
who do we
course.
have at shortstop?
Yeah.
If you have a gold glove shortstop, he doesn't stick at shortstop, but like um we'll see. I would say probably the best has the best chance in the organization to play a shortstop
Yeah.
long term, other than like maybe like some guys that aren't gonna ever hit enough to be big leaguers.
Now, the number one draft pick by the Toronto Blue Jays in 2025, just a couple months ago, was JoJo Parker. And it is really interesting to see him skyrocket up a lot of these rankings. I know you have him at number 50 in your ranking, and I know a lot of other rankings around Major League Baseball kind of feel similarly. What do you like from JoJo Parker? Obviously, he's 18 years old, and this is a kid. And so just to kind of temper Blue Jays fans' expectations. He's probably years away from the big leagues, but we should be excited, correct?
Yeah, he's like a very advanced hitter. I mean, some scouts thought he was like the best hitter, like just hitter in the like high school class this year. I don't think it would be ridiculous to say that. Like he made a lot of contact. He hits the ball hard. Like he can get it up in the air. It's not like just like worm burners constantly. He makes good swing decisions. Like there's not really much to complain about offensively. He kind of just did everything well. So that's why he goes number 8. Like we're talking about the highest Jays draft pick since I guess Austin Martin, who has not been what we thought he would be. But
Yes.
like this is like a pretty high pedigree guy. So like forgive me if I don't have like that many like problems with that. It's just kind of like we haven't seen it yet. He has to
Hmm.
go out and do it. Normally these things come up once you start um actually
In your
like
opinion,
playing against
Matt, in your
professionals
opinion, most likely this kid starts in Dunedin next year, correct? Like they probably will move
for
him on,
sure.
yeah, to the Florida Coast League. Okay.
Yeah, I think he could have probably played at Dunedin now. They're kind of the Jays don't usually some teams do this more than others with their recent draft picks and like just put them right into professional baseball. The Jays usually I think take it a little bit slower. I expect that he will start at Dunedin. He's he's more advanced than Namala was when we drafted Namala. He's probably I'd say there's a good chance he's gonna hit at Dunedin right away. Um, So we'll see. I think, yeah, he's like a pretty advanced hitter. The glove, like it's not like a bad glove by any means. He's just maybe not like athletic enough to play shortstop. But I mean, like if you look around the state of like second base in the league, like there's not that many good hitters at second base. A lot of teams need second base or like even third base. Like these are valuable positions. Like this isn't a guy like who's going to DH or anything like that. So not really like a big knock.
Now, last but not least, and this is a guy that Blue Jays fans are probably a little bit more familiar with, you've got Ricky Tiedemann in at number 94. Now, obviously, it's a shame that he had to go through Tommy John surgery, but I guess you can kind of view the glass half full of he's getting it out of the way. And I know that it might not be the right way to look at it, but I have talked with Chad Dallas, who also had Tommy John surgery at the same time. Him and Ricky are like best buds. Ricky lives in his basement, calls his kid, his kids call him Uncle Ricky. And like they've been talking about how they both want their velo to hit 100. Now, I don't know if Cheese has it in him, but Ricky probably does. And I know that coming back, he's already hitting 95, 96. Is there a reason for Blue Jays fans to still be excited about Ricky Tiedemann, despite the fact that he had to go through this surgery and needs to go through rehab because he was sure highly ranked before he had to get it?
Yeah, for sure. There's still reason to be excited. I mean, we'll see what he looks like, and I think he's not confirmed, but he should pitch in the Arizona Fall League.
Yeah.
Um, it's kind of just let's see what he looks like. If the velo's there, if he's like in the, it'll probably be a little bit. People usually take a little while to get back in the zone because of the mechanics. You kind of have
Yeah.
to sync up again, get used to pitching.
That's why
Um,
Shane Bieber
but
makes
like,
me nervous.
yeah, but I mean, you can look at like. There's so many examples. Tommy John is not a foregone conclusion that you're done anymore. Like
No.
there's so many good pitchers that have had Tommy, like almost every good pitcher has had Tommy John. It's just see what he looks like. Like, yeah, he might end up being a reliever. It's possible. It's more than possible. But I just kind of like stuck him on the back of the list with a couple other prospects that are had Tommy John. It's kind of just like these guys are talented. If it comes back intact, and I would say like a good deal of the time it does, then you'd be happy to rank them there. So I think I'll be curious to see how he factors into camp next year because I think Savage will be probably fighting for a rotation spot, and it depends on what the Jays do in free agency. But we have Bieber, who's probably going to opt out. You have Scherzer, who even knows if he's retiring or what.
Hmm.
Um, and then you have
Bassett's
Bassett, who's
gone.
also a free agent. So you have Gosman and Brios, and Lauer if Lauer continues to pitch well. So the Jays need starters. Think Tiedemann will probably factor in, but uh, he's probably not built up for like a full season or anything like that. It's a big if, but still someone that you should be excited about coming back, I think.
I mean, a lefty who throws close to 100, you should just be excited about that no matter what. Such a rare skill set to
Yeah,
have.
not very many lefties are sitting 95. It's like Carlos Rodon and Tarik Skubal, and there's not very many of them.
Buddy, you have been so in depth with this, and I really appreciate your time. Let's touch on some under the radar prospects within the Jays system that have been getting your attention and that you feel that, I don't mean are they going to be superstars, but just guys that you like and can see being projectable into the future and having a big league career.
Yeah. If you talk Juan Sanchez now, or
Let's talk Juan Sanchez. Exactly. And why don't you start at the beginning for everyone who maybe hasn't heard of Juan
yeah,
Sanchez, 17 years old, by the way.
I wouldn't fault you for not hearing about him because I didn't really know too much about him until like a month ago. Yeah, so he's a prospect in the Dominican Summer. He's been in the Dominican Summer League. He got a bonus of just under 1 million, so like pretty big bonus. He was the second highest in the Jays class. So like this isn't like a pop-up prospect or anything.
International
There's some
free
pedigree.
agency. Yeah.
Yes, international free agency. Yeah, and he's been like pretty lights out in the DSL, which doesn't always mean a lot. I think we've seen that, but
But at
I think this is the
17, it's worth
best.
getting excited about, right?
Yeah, and it's not just like the numbers, but like the scout feedback has been pretty positive. Baseball America moved him to number 7 on their Jays top 30 list, which is like for a Dominican Summer League player, that is very high. So they're definitely excited about him. A lot of power. He's made enough contact so far. Um, yeah, I think he's just someone to keep an eye on. Don't get too ahead of ourselves before he. I think you'll see him really pop if he when he comes stateside next year, and if he's performing, I think that's when you'll see uh, a lot of people talking about him.
Do you think they start him, what, in the complex league? Or do you think that they actually let him go and play
Yeah,
some real ball in Dunedin?
it's tough. The Jays have not done that, but I would also argue that the Jays haven't had any prospects that are worth haven't been worth doing that with. Um, some other teams do that, and they just have them skip with like these advanced like Dominican players.
Because all the hype
We'll
about this
see.
Juan Sanchez
I
is
don't
that
know.
he's the highest international free agent draft. Like he's got the highest ceiling of anyone the Blue Jays have done since Vladdy, right?
Yeah, and I mean, I would like look back on it, and it's kind of hard to say that it's not true. Like, does that mean he's anywhere near what Vladdy is? No, but like Arelvis Martinez, I guess would be the next guy. Gabby Moreno wasn't that big of a prospect at this age. He kind of
Hmm.
came along later. But I guess you'd say if you wanted to argue Arelis Martinez, who was also hyped at a pretty young age, but I would say that this is about the same level. Yeah, he's exciting. I don't have too much information on him though.
No, that's totally fine. What about the pitching side of thing? I know that Gage Stanifer is getting some love and some flowers,
Yeah,
and there's a few others probably worth keeping our eyes on.
yeah, Stanford striking a lot of guys out this year. Been performing. The walks are still a bit high with him. There's a little bit more reliever risk because he kind of is he's a 3 pitch pitcher that kind of operates as a 2 pitch pitcher because he only throws fastball slider against like righties and then he only throws fastball changeup against lefties. So
Hmm.
it's kind of like you know what as a hitter you kind of know what you're probably going to see. So I think he's maybe a guy that would look to add another pitch next year. But yeah, he's been really good. He threw 6 innings last night, which I think is maybe his career high. Uh, yeah, him, I would say there's a couple other guys. Silvano Hechavarria, who has been very good with these Cuban signings. He's a little bit older. Um, like you can like look up his pitch data because he was at single A. We have Statcast. He has a good cutter. He's like throwing like 94. Uh, I'd say I got to keep an eye on. Definitely like Stanford would be like more so someone who I'm more excited about. Any other pitchers? Let's see.
Out of curiosity, I know when you look at the AAA system, uh, who would you point to as like a possible next guy up? Like, what would that be? Adam Macko, maybe?
Yeah, I would say him, but he hasn't been very good.
Yeah,
And he's on the 40, so that just from that perspective, more likely because they wouldn't have to DFA somebody.
yeah,
Uh, Lazaro Estrada as well,
yeah.
who
Right,
had a
Lazaro.
good first outing, kind of blew up against the Orioles. I would think he's definitely ahead of Mako on the pecking order.
Hmm.
He's I think his ERA is a little
Yeah,
bit
Macko
high at
really
AAA,
struggled
but
after coming back from injury.
yeah, and again, like AAA is like tough, but yeah, he hasn't really been very good. So I don't know. Um, we don't really have. I guess well, Savage now is at
Yeah,
AAA. I think Savage would probably get called up before Mako at this point. Just like in the middle of like a playoff race,
yeah,
you're just kind of throwing anything at the wall. But hopefully we don't get there.
yeah. I agreed.
I think that would require a
That's
few
wood knocking there.
injuries
Yeah.
because we have a six, we're six deep right now. So you're probably looking at two or three starter injuries before you start getting into that crop, which hopefully we don't need to get into.
Matt, before we let you go here and appreciate all your insight on all the prospects here, and I really did enjoy your article and thank you for all your hard work because I know someone's got to do it and I'm glad it's not me. So well done, my man. Let's talk this Blue Jays team a little bit. This team has an interesting identity. I mean, they are a contact first team, swing decisions, don't strike out kind of team, and it's working for them. What do you like about this 2025 Blue Jays team?
Yeah, well, it's hard not to like if they just don't really seem to strike out. I feel like they were kind of going for that angle last year, and even like 2023, you could see that they were like kind of moving in that direction, but not striking out was kind of coming at the cost of like power
Hmm.
last year, especially. This year, I think they're above average in home runs, maybe barely, but it's just really tough to pitch against when nobody is. There's just other than Varsho, nobody really strikes out, and
Yeah.
Varsho's been hitting bombs, so like, what do you even have to say about that? Um, yeah, I think they have the most position player like WAR, like wins over replacement in all of baseball. So when you combine like what they're doing hitting wise versus what they're doing on the field, what they're doing on the bases, like this has been an elite position player group this year. They're deep. Vladdy and Bo catching fire over the last month. Springer going to be back. You're gonna with everyone healthy. I mean, well, probably not Santander, but like you're probably looking at like Kirk batting like seventh or eighth. And that's a deep lineup. That's no fun to go against when you've got like Alejandro Kirk who has like a sub 10% strikeout rate, batting like seventh, has fell off a million pitches. Uh, I mean the bullpen I would say is pretty deep right now too. Um, I know Hoffman's been inconsistent, but I would say like I think the bullpen is good.
Hmm.
So the starters they've been what's serviceable kind of all season. That's like maybe how I describe it. Like we don't have like many guys that are going out and like winning US game just by dominating, but they've been keeping everyone logging innings, staying healthy, um, giving the team a chance to win most nights. Uh, I think maybe if you look at the playoff setup, is the weakest thing is probably not having that. Like it's kind of a rotation of number threes and number fours. So that's like you don't have a Terry Skubal who can just win you a baseball game, like who you can count on, like this guy's gonna shove. Um, so and it's impossible for them to upgrade that at the deadline. There just wasn't anyone available. Like
Hmm.
teams don't trade.
No, I
Teams
agree.
don't trade aces. So that would be like maybe the one thing in the playoffs. But I think this team has a good chance to get a bye. If they can play well down the stretch. Division is like it's like 5.5 with the tiebreaker, so
I
pretty
know you
good.
mentioned Varsho really quick here. I want your
Hmm.
opinion on Dalton. I know before I ask this, I do want to just clarify. I don't think Dalton Varsho is going to hit a home run one out of every three games, which is what he's done. In 33 games, he has 12 dingers. It's absolutely crazy what he is
Hmm.
found power wise. That said, I do wonder, and I'm curious your thoughts on the sustainability of this power. Again, I'm not saying one out of every three games, but is Dalton Varsho starting to show that he could be a 30 home run guy?
I think like the main thing you can like look at is like his max like exit velocities are like the highest they've ever been.
Hmm.
To maybe say like that he's doing something a little differently. Maybe he needed that shoulder surgery. Maybe that's something that
That was
was
holding him
been
back.
lingering a long
Yeah.
time. I'm not sure. Like I don't like. I think he probably is probably going to strike out a little less and hit less home runs if I were to guess going forward. Like he's kind of just been like very boomer bust. And going back to his career, he's never been like a massive strikeout issue guy by any means. So I think, but I think you could say that like there's something real working here, like with the power. He's hitting the ball harder than he really ever has. So yeah, it's pretty exciting.
I agree. I agree. And I do wonder, I mean, I guess kind of just let him be that true outcome guy in a lineup of guys who battle like they do. Like, I guess having one high strikeout guy who hits bombs, like, I'm fine with it.
Yeah, for sure. I think. And I think I mean, he plays such good defense in center field anyway. Like you're happy to get like a 750 OPS out of him probably. So, he's exceeding expectations so far. I know a lot of fans like to hate on Varsho, but people forget he was our second best position player last year after
Yeah.
Vladdy. You can go and check. It's not even close, actually.
Yeah.
So like he's not just I don't know what they were saying. Like, well, they're fine without him, so we don't need him.
Yeah. I don't
I
know.
don't know about you guys, but Miles Straw is not. I don't want Miles Straw hit playing every day.
No, I'm with
He,
you, Matt.
he's not.
I'm
He
with you.
can't really hit. So, he's been great, but he can't. You don't want him hitting every day.
My friend, thank you so much for joining us here. Your prospect knowledge is truly impressive for everyone watching. Please go check out Nae Nae Takes' top 100 prospects in Major League Baseball. He's got that pinned at the top of his X account, and you can find that. What's your Medium account again? It's also Nae Nae Takes.
Yeah, I believe so. Let me make sure that it's not something else.
We're gonna double check here, folks.
Yeah, same
There we
exact.
go. Nae Takes medium.com. Thank you so much, my friend. Appreciate it. And we will bug you maybe next year for the same sort of type of thing. I love when you update all of us on who we should be watching for.
Yeah, thank you for having me on.